I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. Hip hop needs some real hip hop journalists. Yes, we need real media. And when I say media, I mean journalists, people who actually are trained in the science of reading, research, writing, and then conveying a message and, overall providing people with a perspective about hip hop that would be helpful to the genre and not hurtful. Okay. What I mean by that, I'm not gonna. I'll be honest with you. I'm not, or if I was on the East Coast, I'd say I'm not gonna hold you. I'm very entertained by a lot of the podcasters who claim to be media, hip hop media. I'm very entertained by them. If you've been listening to the show, then you know I really like the Joe Budden podcast. I do. I ain't gonna even hold you. I mean, I listen to it. And the best thing about the Joe Budden podcast is that, I don't listen to it all in one chunk. It's usually 3 to 4 hours. So I take it to the gym and I listen to it. Now you might wonder, like, well, Mad Scientist, we kind of assume that you'd be listening to music. Yeah, you would assume that. But just keep in mind, I listen to a ton. I digest a ton of music every day. Okay. On the radio station. And then, Taco Tuesdays, I'll be digesting music tonight. And at the same time, this weekend, I'll be digesting music. So, yeah, when I go to the gym, sorry, I don't want to hear music. I just want to hear something else. And I've decided to listen to a lot of hip hop podcasters. Okay. And I will have to say, most of the time when I'm listening to them, their perspectives are like horrible. Their perspectives are totally wrong. But the reason why I continue to listen to them is because they're entertaining. Now, why did I decide to listen to this? Why did I decide to talk about this today? Of all the days, maybe you don't have anything else to talk about, right? In hip hop, it's kind of boring. It's kind of slow. I mean, literally yesterday, the biggest thing that everybody was talking about was Cardi B and whether or not she really does have a ring. If she has a piercing, actually, in one of her private parts. I mean, that was crazy, right? And even on TikTok, yeah, I go to TikTok sometimes because Teray's on TikTok. Teray's like hip hop journalist, but now he's actually trained. He's a seasoned vet. He's a journalist. But what's happening is that Teray and a lot of the hip hop journalists that we, um, Elliot Wilson, they're just not entertaining. I can listen to them because I'm an academic. I listen to a lot of boring people talk. And they're not boring to me. I mean, they're kind of exciting, right? But I mean, unless you want to listen, let me be honest. I'm looking at a documentary right now on the Vietnam War. Okay. I mean, who does that? And it's 10 episodes. Each episode is about an hour and 40 minutes. That's like close to 15 hours that I'm like looking at in a documentary about the Vietnam War. Well, mad scientist, what that got to do with hip hop? It's the Vietnam War. We weren't even alive. I got it. But we were talking about the Snoop situation. And I'm trying to figure out why Snoop did the thing that he did, which was he went and he performed at the inauguration and then he gave us no explanation. He just got on IG, got high, listened to the gospel, and said, I'm living my life, you live yours. Stay out of my business. As though like to say that he doesn't need to give us an explanation. No. Now, what is this? Sum it up, mad scientist. What does this all have to do with anything that you were talking about? Because I'm a hip hop journalist. Okay. I'm a hip hop scholar. And sometimes you got to do a little research and reading in other areas of life, the world of history, in order to really bring your point to life, to give your point some proper perspective. And the reason why I study and I look at the documentary for the Vietnam War is because you had a group of people who had an ideology. They had a core belief, and they were willing to sacrifice everything for those core beliefs. They were willing to sacrifice themselves. They were willing to sacrifice their living conditions. They were willing to sacrifice families and everything that they had because they had an idea. We want to unify Vietnam. And so I use that as an example to illustrate the point. When it comes to hip hop, what are we doing? What are we doing in order to make sure that hip hop is thriving, alive? What are we sacrificing? We're sacrificing nothing. And so it comes to the realization that, yeah, we really need some hip hop journalists. And it cannot be DJ Akademiks. He's got to be out of here.